The sky broke open like torn paper. Dark shadows spread across the earth as huge alien ships covered the sun. Their metal bodies stretched for miles, glowing with strange lights. The ground shook as they entered the atmosphere. People screamed. Some fell to their knees, praying. Some ran, but there was nowhere to hide. The invasion had begun. From the largest ship, a voice thundered across the skies. It was deep, harsh, and filled with cruel laughter. The translation machines turned their alien tongue into words every human could understand. Humans. So weak. So small. So fragile. This planet belongs to us now. You will serve, or you will die. Cities around the world fell within hours. Their weapons were useless. Tanks and jets looked like toys in front of alien firepower. Human leaders begged for mercy, but the aliens only mocked them. On giant screens, they forced humans to watch as soldiers surrendered, as monuments of Earth were destroyed. The aliens enjoyed the humiliation. "This is what you are," the alien commander sneered. "Soft creatures, crawling insects, not fit to stand tall." The world seemed broken. Hope seemed lost. But in the middle of all this, one man did not bow. His name was Daniel Cole. He stood in the ruins of a small city. His fists clenched as alien soldiers marched humans through the streets like cattle. Their laughter rang in his ears. His jaw tightened. His eyes burned with anger. Daniel was no hero, not yet. He was just a soldier who had fought in Earth's armies. He had seen war before, but never like this. Still, something inside him refused to bend. As people around him cried, begging the aliens for mercy, Daniel whispered under his breath, "We are not weak." The words were quiet, but they were fire in his heart. Daniel watched as alien patrols forced people to kneel. Children were dragged from their families. Elders were laughed at. Humanity was being broken. The aliens treated Earth like a playground. They destroyed for fun. They burned buildings just to see the fire. They laughed as humans trembled. But Daniel studied them. He watched carefully, silently. He noticed how they moved. He saw the arrogance in their eyes. They were powerful. Yes, but too sure of themselves. They did not see humans as a threat, and that was their mistake. One evening, the aliens gathered hundreds of humans in the city square. A massive screen lit up with the face of their commander. His skin was scaled and dark, his teeth sharp like blades. He spoke slowly, every word heavy with contempt. "Look at yourselves. Weak. Powerless. This is the end of your kind. You will crawl at our feet, and your children will never know freedom." The humans lowered their heads in shame, but Daniel did not. He stood tall in the crowd, staring at the screen with steady eyes. The alien commander noticed him. "You there," the commander said with amusement. "Why do you look at me like that? Do you still think you matter?" The crowd went silent. All eyes turned to Daniel. His heart pounded, but he did not flinch. Slowly, he raised his head higher. And then he smiled, not a smile of joy, but of defiance. The alien commander narrowed his eyes. Then, after a moment, he laughed. A cruel, booming laugh. "Good," he said. "Keep your pride. It will make your fall even sweeter." The screen went dark, but Daniel's stance did not change. That night, as the city slept in fear, Daniel sat alone in the shadows. The alien words replayed in his mind. Weak. Powerless. Insects. He shook his head. "They don't understand," he whispered. "They don't know us." The stars shone above, half hidden by alien ships. Daniel clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white. "They think we are broken, but they are wrong." In that moment, something inside him hardened. He made a silent promise, not just to himself, but to all of humanity. He would not kneel. He would not break. And one day he would make them regret their laughter. The night grew darker, but in Daniel's heart a fire burned. It was small but strong, a fire that no alien could see, a fire that would grow, a fire that would change everything. The aliens thought they had conquered Earth, but they had just awakened the one man who refused to bow. And the war for humanity's soul had only begun. The sun rose on a broken Earth, but there was no warmth in its light. Alien ships hung heavy in the sky, blocking most of it. Their shadows stretched over cities and villages, making even daytime feel like night. Humanity lived under fear. The aliens did not simply conquer, they enjoyed humiliation. In the center of a ruined city, alien soldiers forced thousands of humans into the streets. Families were dragged from their homes, workers pulled from factories, children from their schools. The aliens wanted a show. On a massive screen that hovered in the air, the alien commander appeared again, his scaled face twisted in amusement, his sharp teeth flashing. "Look at them," he said to his soldiers. "So fragile. They bend with the wind like grass. They are not warriors. They are not worthy." The alien soldiers laughed, their voices echoing like thunder. One soldier shoved an old man to the ground and barked, "Crawl, human!" Another kicked away a woman's food and laughed as her children cried. This was not war anymore. This was sport. Daniel Cole stood among the crowd, silent but burning inside. His fists clenched so tight his nails cut his palms. His jaw ached from holding back words. He saw the shame in his people's faces. Men who had once been proud now stared at the dirt. Women who had once been strong now trembled in fear. Even children too young to understand lowered their heads. Daniel felt his chest tighten. His people were not weak. They were being broken, forced to believe lies, but he would not kneel. Not now. Not ever. The commander raised a clawed hand and pointed at the humans. "Kneel," he commanded. One by one they dropped to their knees. The sound of thousands of knees hitting the ground echoed like thunder. But Daniel remained standing. At once, alien eyes turned toward him. Soldiers hissed. Humans gasped. Fear swept through the crowd. One alien soldier, towering and armored, stepped forward. His weapon glowed as he pressed it against Daniel's chest. "Down, insect," he growled. Daniel looked him straight in the eyes. His voice was steady, though soft. "No." The alien blinked, surprised. No human had dared to speak back. The crowd held its breath. The soldier snarled and pressed the weapon harder against Daniel's chest. "I said kneel." Daniel's lips curled into a small, sharp smile. "Make me." For a long moment there was silence. The alien stared, shocked. Then the commander on the screen threw back his head and laughed. A cruel, mocking laugh. "Ah, look at this one," the commander roared, a spark among ashes. "Good. Let him stay standing. His pride will make his fall more delicious." The soldiers pulled back. The crowd exhaled in relief, but their eyes stayed on Daniel. Some were afraid of what he had done. Some were amazed. And for the first time in days, a few felt something new. Hope. That night, Daniel sat alone in the shadows of the ruins. He replayed every moment in his head. The laughter of the aliens, the fear of his people, the weight of standing alone. He knew one thing clearly now. The aliens enjoyed breaking human spirit more than they enjoyed destroying human cities. This was their game, and if it was a game, Daniel would not play by their rules. The next day, the aliens staged another lesson. They forced humans to fight each other for scraps of food while soldiers laughed. The crowd cried, but no one dared resist, except Daniel. When the aliens pushed him forward, expecting him to fight a weak old man for a piece of bread, Daniel refused. He walked to the man, handed him the bread, and stood tall again. The crowd gasped. The aliens roared with laughter. "This one," the commander sneered. "He believes he is strong. Watch how quickly his spirit breaks." But Daniel did not break. He ate nothing that day. His stomach growled, but his eyes stayed firm. He had lost battles before, but he would not lose his soul. Slowly, whispers spread among the humans. Did you see him? He did not kneel. He gave his food away. He stood tall. The people began to talk about him when the aliens weren't listening. They spoke his name like a secret flame passed from lip to lip. Daniel Cole, the man who would not bend. The aliens, however, were amused. Let him play the hero, they mocked. It will only make his suffering greater when we finally crush him. But they did not see what Daniel was doing. In their arrogance, they thought he was foolish. But Daniel was watching, learning. Every laugh, every weapon, every movement. He studied it all. He knew he could not fight them yet. Not now, not alone. But one day, when the time came, he would be ready. And when he struck, it would not be for himself. It would be for every human who had been forced to kneel. The night fell again, and the alien ships blocked the stars. But in the ruins, one man whispered to himself, they think they are breaking us, but they are only waking us. His eyes burned in the dark. Daniel Cole was no longer just a soldier. He was becoming something more. A symbol, a spark, a flame that would not die. The city was silent at night. Too silent. Alien patrols moved like shadows through the ruins, their glowing weapons humming with power. Their eyes scanned every corner, their voices sharp and cruel. Humans hid inside broken buildings, barely breathing, afraid even to cough. But one man did not hide. Daniel Cole crept through the dark, his body pressed close to the ground. His heart beat fast, but his steps were careful. Every sound mattered. Every mistake meant death. He was not hunting food. He was hunting knowledge. For days he had watched the aliens, studying how they moved, how they spoke, how their strange weapons worked. He had noticed something others missed, the arrogance of their guards. They laughed too much. They trusted their technology too much. They never imagined a human would dare to steal from them. But Daniel dared. Ahead, in the heart of the ruins, stood an alien outpost. Tall metal walls pulsed with blue light, humming with strange energy. Inside, he knew, were weapons, alien technology that could cut through steel like paper. If he could take one, maybe humanity still had a chance. Daniel's breath came slow as he crawled closer. He could see the guards now, 2 aliens, tall and armored, standing near the gate. Their laughter echoed as they spoke in their guttural language. Daniel waited. He watched their rhythm. Every few minutes, one guard left to circle the perimeter. That was the opening. The moment came. One guard turned away. Daniel moved, silent as a shadow. He slipped past broken rubble and pressed himself against the wall. His pulse thundered in his ears. He slid along the metal surface until he found a gap in the structure, a vent large enough for him to crawl through. He hesitated. His mind screamed at him, "If they catch you, you will die." But another voice inside him, stronger, whispered back, "If you do nothing, humanity will die anyway." Daniel clenched his jaw, took a deep breath, and crawled inside. The vent was dark and narrow. Metal scraped against his arms as he pulled himself forward. The hum of alien machines grew louder. Strange smells, sharp, chemical, almost burning, filled the air. Finally, he reached a grate. Peering through it, he saw what he had come for. Rows of alien weapons glowed softly in the dim light. Blades of energy, rifles with humming cores, grenades that pulsed like living hearts. Daniel's eyes widened. It was more power than he had ever imagined. But he could only take one. The vent cover slid off with a soft clink. Daniel dropped down, his boots hitting the ground with a dull thud. He froze, listening. No sound of alarms. No footsteps. He moved quickly, his eyes darting across the room. His hands hovered over the weapons. He reached for a rifle, its surface warm under his touch. The moment his fingers wrapped around it, the weapon came alive with a low hum. Blue light crawled across its surface. Daniel's heart pounded. He had done it. He had stolen alien fire. But then, a sound. The hiss of a door sliding open. Daniel spun around, weapon in hand. An alien soldier stepped inside, its eyes narrowing in surprise. For a single second, both froze. Then the alien roared. Daniel didn't think. He raised the weapon, fingers finding the trigger by instinct. A blast of blue energy shot out, striking the alien in the chest. The soldier was thrown back, crashing into the wall. Its body twitched, then went still. Daniel stood frozen, the weapon shaking in his hands. Smoke filled the air. The smell of burnt flesh made his stomach twist. He had killed one. For the first time, a human had struck back, but there was no time to celebrate. Shouts echoed through the halls. More footsteps thundered closer. Daniel bolted. He sprinted through the room, weapon clutched tight, his breath sharp and fast. He dove back into the vent, just as the doors burst open behind him. Blasts of energy tore through the room, shaking the metal. Sparks rained down as he crawled faster and faster, heart racing. He pushed himself out of the vent and hit the ground running, vanishing into the ruins as alarms screamed behind him. Hours later, he sat in the shadows of a burned-out building. His chest still heaved, sweat dripping down his face. The weapon lay across his knees, glowing faintly. He stared at it, hardly believing it was real. His hands trembled, not from fear now, but from something else. Something bigger. Hope. He whispered, into the night. They bleed. They fall. They can be beaten. The next morning, whispers spread among the humans. Someone killed an alien last night. Someone stole one of their weapons. Who did it? Daniel kept silent. He did not claim the glory, but the spark had been lit. The people looked at the sky differently now, not with pure fear, but with something new. The aliens thought they had complete control, but they had made a mistake. They had allowed one man to find their weakness, and, from that spark, a fire would grow. The night was heavy with silence. Alien patrols marched through the ruined streets, their glowing armor casting strange lights on broken walls. Their laughter carried into the darkness as they dragged prisoners behind them. Shackled men, women, and children stumbled, their eyes full of fear. It was a normal sight now. Too normal. But tonight would be different. Daniel Cole crouched on the rooftop of a crumbling building. His hands tightened on the alien rifle he had stolen days before. The weapon hummed softly, alive in his grip. His heart pounded. Sweat slid down his face. He knew what this meant. Once he fired, there would be no going back. The aliens would hunt him harder than ever. But he also knew something else. The people needed to see. They needed proof that the monsters could bleed. He whispered to himself, "No more hiding." Below, the alien patrol stopped. Their leader barked orders in a sharp, guttural voice. The prisoners were shoved to their knees in the dirt. One alien soldier lifted his weapon, its barrel glowing with deadly blue light. Daniel's jaw clenched. He knew what was coming. Another lesson. Another execution to remind humans of their weakness. Not tonight. He raised the rifle, finger brushing the trigger. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Then, he fired. A blast of blue energy streaked through the night and slammed into the alien soldier's chest. The alien screamed as its armor cracked, glowing sparks bursting out. It collapsed, twitching, and lay still. The prisoners gasped. The humans looked up in shock. The aliens turned, their eyes glowing with fury. Daniel stood tall, on the rooftop, weapon glowing in his hands. His voice rang out across the square, sharp and fearless. "We are not weak." The humans stared at him wide-eyed. For the first time since the invasion, they saw something impossible. A man standing against the conquerors, a man unafraid. The aliens roared, weapons lifted. Energy blasts streaked through the air, tearing into the rooftop. Stone exploded around Daniel. He ducked, rolled, and fired back. Two more blasts struck, throwing another alien soldier to the ground. The human screamed, not in fear this time, but in shock and awe. The patrol broke into chaos. Aliens scrambled for cover, their arrogance cracking. This was no beaten slave. They were facing resistance. Daniel leapt down from the rooftop, landing hard in the dirt. He fired again, striking the chain that bound the prisoners. The metal shattered, and the humans stumbled free. "Run," he shouted. The people scattered into the ruins. The aliens tried to stop them, but Daniel's rifle cut through their lines. Every blast he fired lit up the night. Every alien that fell proved a new truth. They could be beaten. At last, the surviving aliens pulled back, dragging their wounded with them. Their leader snarled at Daniel, pointing a clawed hand. "You will pay for this, human." Daniel aimed his rifle and fired. The shot missed the alien's head by inches, blasting a hole into the wall behind him. The alien froze, then retreated, into the shadows with the rest of his squad. The square grew quiet. Smoke hung in the air. Bodies lay scattered. Daniel stood alone, breathing hard, rifle glowing in his hands. Slowly, humans began to creep out of the ruins. Faces pale, eyes wide. They stared at him in disbelief. One man whispered, "He fought them." A woman added, "He made them run." A child clutching her mother's hand said softly, "He saved us." Daniel lowered his rifle, his chest still heaving. He didn't speak. He just looked at them, at their fear, at their confusion, at their tiny spark of hope, and then he turned and disappeared into the night. By morning, whispers spread like wildfire. Someone stood against the aliens. He killed them with their own weapons. He freed prisoners. They say his name is Daniel. The people spoke in hushed voices, afraid the aliens might hear. But their words carried something dangerous: belief. Belief that maybe, just maybe, the invaders were not untouchable. The aliens, however, were furious. Inside their warship, the commander slammed his clawed fist on the table. "Find him!" he roared. "This human thinks himself brave. He will learn fear. He will learn what happens to those who defy us." But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted even in their hearts. They had mocked humans as weak, but now they knew, at least one was not weak at all. That night, Daniel sat in silence, weapon resting across his lap. His body ached. His mind replayed every moment of the fight. He knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would come for him with everything they had. He was now a target, a symbol, a threat. But he also knew something else. The people had seen him, and once people see courage, they cannot forget it. Daniel Cole had fired the first shot. He had given humanity its first victory. It was small, but it was real. A spark had become a flame, and soon that flame would spread. The aliens were restless. For weeks, their patrols had moved through ruined cities without fear. Humans had been silent, broken, obedient. But now, something had changed. Whispers spread in the shadows. Eyes glowed with quiet defiance. People no longer bowed as quickly. Some even dared to look the soldiers in the eye. And behind it all was one name: Daniel Cole. High above the earth, the alien warlord sat in his command chamber. His scaled fingers tapped against the metal table. Around him, his captains argued. "He is only one man," one hissed. "Yet his actions spread like fire," another growled. "He makes the others believe they can fight." The warlord slammed, his fist the room shaking. "Find him, crush him. Show these humans their hero is nothing but dust." But on the ground, Daniel moved like a shadow. He no longer fought only to survive. He fought to teach, to inspire, to strike where the enemy felt safe. In the dead of night, he led a small group of freed prisoners through the ruins. Their steps were nervous, their hands shaking. Most had never held a weapon, but Daniel's voice was steady, calm. "They bleed," he told them. "They fall. They are not gods. Tonight, you will see it." Ahead, an alien convoy rumbled through the streets. Armored transports glowing with strange power carried supplies and prisoners. Alien guards walked lazily beside them, laughing. Daniel raised a hand. His group froze. "Wait," he whispered. He studied the patrol, his eyes sharp. He saw where the guards were weakest, where the shadows were deepest. He mapped every step, every move in his mind. Then, softly, he spoke. "Now." The attack was sudden. A stolen alien rifle fired from the darkness, striking the first guard. The creature roared, collapsing in a flash of sparks. Humans rushed out from the ruins, shouting for the first time in months, not in fear but in courage. The convoy erupted in chaos. Aliens scrambled, their arrogance shattered by the sudden strike. Daniel moved fast, precise. His rifle spat blue light, each shot hitting true. He freed prisoners from the transports, shouting for them to run. The battle was quick, brutal. When it ended, several aliens lay dead, their weapons stolen. The convoy burned, and for the first time, the humans cheered. That night, around a hidden fire, the small group gathered. Their faces glowed in the light, no longer hollow, no longer empty. One man said, "I thought they were invincible," a woman added. "But you showed us they can be beaten." Daniel shook his head. "Not me. Us. Alone I can only do so much, but together—" He looked around the circle, his eyes fierce. "Together we can light a fire they cannot put out." The group sat in silence, the weight of his words sinking in. In the days that followed, more joined him. At first only a handful, then dozens. They came from the ruins, from the shadows, carrying nothing but determination. Daniel taught them how to move quietly, how to strike fast, how to use alien weapons without fear. His voice was steady, patient. His hands guided theirs as they learned to fire. His eyes never wavered as he told them, "You are not weak. They only want you to believe you are. Stop believing their lies, and you will see the truth." And one by one the people began to believe. The aliens noticed. Convoys vanished in the night. Patrols never returned. Fires burned in their camps. Their supplies grew thin. The humans were fighting back. The commanders cursed Daniel's name, calling him the defiant Earthling. They promised to capture him, to break him in front of all humans. But Daniel was always one step ahead. One evening, the aliens staged a trap. They used prisoners as bait, marching them loudly through the streets, hoping Daniel would come. And he did. From the rooftops, his rebels struck. Blasts of stolen weapons filled the air. Chains shattered, prisoners fled, and the ambush turned. Against its makers, the humans escaped into the ruins, leaving alien bodies behind. The trap had failed. The people whispered louder now. No longer just in secret. He fights for us. He frees us. He is not afraid. Daniel Cole. He stands tall. The flame was spreading. In the alien war hall, the warlord growled. This cannot continue. If one human can do this, what happens when others follow? His captains shifted nervously. They knew the truth. Already the humans were changing. Their fear was cracking. Their courage was rising. And it all started with one man. That night, Daniel sat in silence on a rooftop watching the alien ships blot out the stars. His body ached from battle. His hands were rough from training others. But his eyes burned bright. He whispered to himself, "They wanted to break us. Instead, they gave us a reason to fight. Their fire is strong, but our fire is growing stronger." The rising flame flickered in his chest. And soon, the whole world would burn with it. The earth trembled as the alien warlord descended. For months, his armies had hunted one man. Patrols had fallen. Convoys had burned. Whispers of rebellion spread, like wildfire. And always, the same name returned to his ears, Daniel Cole. The warlord's fury had reached its peak. If his soldiers could not crush this human, he would do it himself. The humans knew something terrible was coming. Alien ships darkened the sky more than ever before. Great horns roared through the cities, echoing in every broken street. Soldiers marched in thousands, their boots shaking the ground. And at the center of it all walked the warlord. He was enormous, towering over even his own kind. His armor gleamed black and red, covered in scars of 100 battles. His eyes glowed like molten fire. Each step he took was heavy with power, with cruelty. "This is the end of your defiance," he declared. His voice shook the air. "Bring me the one who calls himself unbroken. Bring me Daniel Cole." Far away, hidden among ruins, Daniel heard the call. His people, men and women who had once been slaves, now fighters, looked to him. Their faces were pale, their hands trembling around stolen weapons. They brought their leader. One whispered, "We cannot fight him. He is too strong." Daniel stood silent for a long moment, his rifle heavy in his grip. His body ached from past battles, scars marking his skin. But his eyes were steady. "He came for me," Daniel said. "Then I will face him." The others gasped. "You'll die." Daniel's lips curved into a small, hard smile. "Maybe, but not before he learns what humans are." The night was torn apart by fire and smoke as Daniel and his fighters struck alien soldiers, clashed with human rebels in the ruins of the city. Blasts lit up the darkness, screams filled the air. Humans fought desperately, their courage pushing them further than they ever thought possible. And through it all, Daniel moved like a storm. His rifle sang with light, his blade, taken from a fallen alien, cut with precision. He was no longer just a man. He was the symbol of Earth's fury. The warlord stepped into the battlefield. His massive blade glowed with deadly energy, humming like a beast hungry for blood. His roar silenced both armies. "Daniel Cole!" Daniel turned. Dust and fire swirled around him, painting him in the glow of battle. He stood tall, weapon ready, and shouted back, "I'm here!" The warlord laughed, deep and cruel. "So small, so fragile. Do you truly think you can stand against me?" Daniel's voice was calm, steady, and carried across the ruins. "I don't think I know." The two charged. The ground shook as their weapons clashed. Sparks exploded. The warlord swung his massive blade, each strike powerful enough to shatter stone. Daniel dodged, rolled, and countered, his movements faster, sharper. The battle raged. Humans and aliens stopped fighting, their eyes locked on the duel. This was no longer just a battle. It was judgment. The warlord struck Daniel hard, sending him crashing into rubble. Blood ran down Daniel's face. His body screamed with pain, but he rose again, slowly, shaking, unbroken. The warlord growled, "Why do you rise? You are beaten." Daniel spat blood and raised his weapon once more. His voice cracked, but it was filled with fire. "Because I am human, and humans don't kneel." The fight grew brutal. Daniel's strikes grew slower, his breath ragged. The warlord's strength was overwhelming. At last, the alien's blade slashed across Daniel's side, sending him to his knees. The crowd gasped. Silence fell. The warlord loomed over him, raising his weapon for the final blow. His voice thundered, "Kneel, human, kneel and die." Daniel lifted his head. His body trembled, broken, but his eyes blazed brighter than fire, and with a voice that carried into every soul watching, he whispered, "Humanity kneels to no one." With the last of his strength, Daniel drove his stolen blade upward. It pierced through the warlord's chest. The alien roared in shock, stumbling back. His glowing eyes widened as cracks of light split across his armor. The ground shook as the great warlord fell. For the first time, an alien leader lay dead at human hands. The battlefield erupted. Humans screamed with joy, their voices fierce and wild. Aliens stumbled back in disbelief. Fear spread through their ranks. Their invincible master had fallen. Daniel collapsed to the ground, his weapon slipping from his hands. His breath was shallow, his vision blurred. But he smiled. He had stood against the strongest. He had not broken. And now, his people had seen. High above, the alien fleet trembled with confusion. On the ground, Humans rose with courage they never thought possible. The breaking point had come. The tide was turning. Smoke covered the battlefield. The ruins of the city glowed with fire, broken walls standing like skeletons in the night. The ground was littered with alien weapons, fallen soldiers, and the cries of the wounded. At the center of it all lay Daniel, Cole. His body was broken, his breath shallow. Blood stained his chest, his side, his hands. Around him, humans gathered, eyes wide with fear and awe. Some whispered his name. Others reached out as if afraid he might vanish, and before them all lay the massive corpse of the alien warlord, the enemy who had promised to crush Earth. The impossible had happened, but it was not over. The alien army froze for only a moment. Then fury consumed them. Commanders shouted, soldiers roared, weapons glowed with deadly light. "Kill them all," one bellowed. "Burn the humans to ash." The ground trembled as the alien ranks prepared to strike. The humans clutched their stolen rifles, but their hands shook. They were brave, but they were outnumbered 100-1. Daniel, bleeding and weak, forced his body up on one knee. His vision swam, but his voice came out clear, sharp, burning with fire. "Stand!" The humans turned. His face was pale, his body broken, but his eyes blazed like suns. "Do not run," Daniel said. "Do not kneel. Not now." The humans stared at him, their fear trembling inside them. "They think we are weak," Daniel continued. His voice grew louder, carried by the wind and the fire. "They think we will break, but look at them. Their leader lies dead at our feet." He pointed at the fallen warlord, his bloody hand shaking but unyielding. "They bleed, they fall, and if they can fall once, they can fall again." Something shifted. The humans, who only minutes before had thought of running, now clenched their weapons tighter. Their fear was still there, but now it stood beside courage. Daniel rose fully too, his feet swaying but unbroken. He lifted his weapon high. His voice thundered, "Stand tall, humans! This is our world!" The alien army charged, and this time the humans did not scatter. They roared back, their voices fierce, and met the invaders head-on. Blasts of stolen alien firepower lit up the night. Grenades shook the ground. Blades clashed in the smoke. The battle was chaos, brutal and desperate. But for the first time, the humans fought not as prey, but as warriors, and in the center of it all, Daniel fought like a man possessed. Every strike cost him blood. Every breath came harder, but he stood tall, blade flashing, rifle burning. He fought not for himself, but for every human behind him. And as the aliens looked into his blazing eyes for the first time, they felt something new. Fear. The battle raged until the alien army faltered. Without their warlord, their strength cracked. Their discipline crumbled. And when Daniel struck down the last of their captains, the invaders broke. One by one, their soldiers fled into the ruins, their roars turning into cries. The great army that had mocked humanity turned and ran. The humans stood in stunned silence. The battlefield, once full of alien laughter, was now filled with human voices. And then, they cheered. A sound rose from the ruins, fierce and unstoppable. The sound of a people who had discovered their strength again. Daniel collapsed to his knees. His body could bear no more. But as his vision dimmed, he saw the faces of his people, no longer full of fear, but blazing with pride. He smiled weakly. "We are not weak," he whispered. And with that, he fell into darkness. Days later, the alien fleet abandoned the skies. Without their warlord, without their victory, they retreated. Earth was scarred, but it still belonged to humans, and in every street, every home, one name spread like fire: Daniel Cole. The man who stood tall, the man who would not kneel, the man who showed humanity its strength. Years passed. The scars of war healed. Cities were rebuilt. Children who had once hidden in fear grew up beneath free skies. And always, they told the same story. Of the time aliens came to break them. Of the time one man rose when all others bowed. Of the moment humanity stood tall. Daniel Cole became more than a man. He became a legend, a reminder to all that humans may bend, they may bleed, they may fall, but they never kneel.